My first sexual experience was less than magical. Inappropriate? Depends on who you ask. By Brandon Elrich. Brandon Elrich is So Gay is a reader-supported publication. To receive new posts and support my work, consider becoming a free or paid subscriber. When I was in high school, we didn't have the internet at home because my parents were stuck in a time loop. We still had a wooden crank telephone hanging on the wall, and you had to pick it up and say, "Ernestine, can you connect me to the dollar store, please?" I'm not sure how Ernestine was still alive after 175 years, but she was a reliable old gal most of the time. When I started college, I still lived at home because the college was a short drive away. Why pay for student living in a dorm or apartment when I could save that money for the books and parking that cost almost as much as tuition? I somewhat regret that decision now, as I could have had a lot more fun if I'd lived on campus. I might have also failed more classes, so there's that. In the library and computer labs, I soon discovered chat rooms and singles ads. They didn't monitor them as much as they do now. I should have been studying more, but I'd kept my sexuality closeted for long enough, and that subject was much more intriguing than U.S. history from 1877 to the present. I used the free versions of the personal ads, of course, but they worked well enough. I talked to several guys, but they didn't work out, usually because they lived too far away. I met Jay, who attended the same university, and we messaged back and forth for a while before I worked up enough courage to meet him in person. I went to his house one weekend while his parents were away, another frugal freshman living at home like me. He was home alone and had been drinking beer before I got there. He was very good-looking and reminded me of Ryan Phillippe. Same blonde, curly hair and full, sexy lips. Have you ever seen Cruel Intentions? Wow. We sat awkwardly for a few minutes watching TV, and then he asked if I wanted a, quote, tour. You may have expected him to point out the crown molding or the mid-century American furniture, but no. The tour basically consisted of walking back to his bedroom. The room was dark, but there was a neon light, maybe a beer sign, I don't remember. He shut the door and walked up very close to me, leaned in, and started kissing my neck, jawline, and chin. Then our lips touched, and he immediately thrust his tongue into my mouth. What? You're going right in with the tongue? No light pecks sucking on the lips? You're just going to stick it right in there and swirl it around like you're stirring pasta sauce? It was a real shame because he had very sexy lips. He just didn't know how to use them properly. The beer breath didn't help either. After the tonguing ended, he pushed me back onto the bed, but not forcefully. The tongue wrestling recommenced as we removed clothing. Then he proceeded to spin around into a 69 position. Now, this being my first sexual experience, I didn't know what I was doing or what to expect. For instance, I wasn't prepared for his penis to be poking my tonsils or for his ass to be inches away from my nose. I'm sure you don't want to read about all the details, so I'll just say, and yada yada yada, it was over and we got dressed. But you yada yada'd the best part. No, I mentioned the neon sign. Later, he contacted me again and said that he met this guy from the nearby Air Force Base who wanted to have a threesome. After only one sexual experience, I was definitely not ready for that, so I declined, and I never heard from him again. We ended up having a class together. Actually, it was the history class referenced above, but we pretended we didn't know each other. We were both closeted, after all. Him more so than me. I originally wrote about this experience in response to a prompt on Medium titled, "The Most Inappropriate Sex You've Had." At the time, I was not supposed to be gay, and I was meeting someone from the internet whom I'd never seen before, and it was all very discreet and taboo, so the, quote, inappropriateness was more about how the outside world saw it. I was glad I could finally satisfy the curiosity I'd held for so long. Jay certainly wasn't the love of my life, but I'll always remember him and that night. As awkward as it was, I must say that it wasn't the worst hookup experience I've ever had, but that's another story for another day. I rely on Substack for part of my income, so please consider upgrading to a paid subscription for $6 per month or $60 per year. Click subscribe now. If you want to think about it first or give a one-time donation, please buy me a coffee. Click buy me a coffee. Either way, I appreciate you.